What's up? It's Winslow. Welcome back to another episode of Winsnotes. This is our second one back. It's episode 11 of this whole podcast journey that I've kind of, loved. Got a lot of love. Came back. Anyway, if you're new to this show, welcome. It's no show. It's it's something, but it's more me trying to have conversations around topics that I feel like are important to me and other musicians and people in creative fields, because not everything is about the technical side of things. It's kind of the, without sounding too, it's, about life, their life around it, everything else, your headspace, your ideals, your intentions, everything like that. And I really try to cover that and just kind of talk my way through things in a way that hopefully you can relate. Occasionally there'll be guests, not really an interview type thing, but again, want to open the conversation past just one person's point of view or one person's bag of experience. We all come across a lot of the same things, but we all experience them differently, and I like to explore that just so I myself have a more wealth of stories and experiences to grab from, even if they may not be my own. So hopefully you find some value in that, and if that something you're interested in, I invite you to listen to previous episodes and other YouTube videos and things that I've made in the past, because I feel like you will find something useful and of value if you're creative. And if you're not, maybe it'll help you understand your creative friend, which you have no idea why they spend all their hours on one thing just for a couple of people to see it and then move on to the next thing because they just do it out of love, and maybe you don't get that, and that's okay. Not everybody's like that. I've had to learn that I can't always try and deep dive everything with somebody who's just not into deep diving on certain stuff. But anyway, a couple housekeeping things before we get going. If you want to hear more of this, watch more of this, you want to experience more of this podcast and whatever it turns into, I invite you to hit that follow button, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like. If you dislike it, I don't care. Spotify or any other podcasting platform, make sure you leave a rating. 1 star if you hated it, 5 stars if you hated it enough to rate it 5 stars out of irony. And if you want to support this podcast and anything else I do even more, you can head over to Patreon, and there's a Wins Notes tier, $3 a month. Really helps, kind of affirm what I'm doing and also give you a bit of some rewards and stuff outside of podcast related things, tunes, mixes, all those kind of things, a look into what I'm doing, and a Patreon exclusive episodes of this show in which we follow up, the royal we, whatever, we follow up with questions that listeners have left. That'll be there. And also on other platforms that are starting to offer podcast subscriptions. I don't really know how that works just yet, but I know it's a thing, and I might as well take advantage of it instead of be like, ew, no. So without further ado, let's talk about today's topic, which is social media and taking a break, because all of us people in this creative field, we know the grind of, okay, we made the thing, we made the art, the song, the music, the video, whatever, and now I have to, for lack of a better phrase, shill it on social media so I can get people to look at it and hopefully listen and experience it. And of course, we all make it for the love of the craft and everything, but you still want people to see it or experience it, even if you just made it for yourself. It brings up a different idea of, the content creator versus the artist, and are they the same? Is there any overlap? And I'm firmly in the overlap camp. It depends on your intentions, and we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, you kind of have to wear both hats. You can't just, or you can just make music and leave it at that. But if you want to do anything with that, turn it into a career, have releases, get it into a mix, have a nice track, bro, comment, even that, you got to put it out into the public. And there's ways of doing that which are beneficial and ways of that aren't as beneficial, and things like that. But the whole point the whole point I'm trying to get at is you really get caught up in that I've made the thing, now I got to do everything I can to get it in someone else's hands, their ears, their in front of their eyes, and getting caught up in that can drag you down and away from the very thing you're that you want to make. And it can be really overwhelming to feel like you're constantly playing this game of I'm there, oh now I'm back, and I'm there, and then now 2 steps back. It's I can't even pull this word off, but the story of Sisyphus, right? And it's kind of that kind of effort of just no matter what you do, you're always back at square one kind of feeling, even though you're somewhat, in this case, you're somewhat inching forward, but it never really feels like that. And yeah, so that's kind of what I want to talk about. And basically, like, before I even get to that, it's just kind of what happened to me is I love promo and marketing things and coming up with whole concepts around projects. Like, if you've paid attention to anything I've done in the last 4 or 5 years, basically everything, it's always had some kind of like media campaign, for the most professional way of putting it, a media type promo campaign of me usually just being myself, being an idiot on the internet, and knowing that garners a little bit of likes, not in the clickbait, going too far. Although sometimes I've caught myself going way too far. And that's a topic of discussion for another episode. Is if I gone too far. Because, I mean, I'm just like dressing up and stuff, and I'm making all this. And it's good. It's me. It's 100% me. It's not like Hospital or any other entity is like, Duncan, dress to, do that whole thing. You know what I mean by this, if you know what I mean by that. So, and if you don't know what I mean, you should be watching the video version where there's a lot more emotion and, you can visually see me do some visual gags. Anyway, but if you know what that means, yeah, I've been black for a long time. Anyway, the whole point is everything, these ideas and the way I'm presenting my projects and myself is 100% me. But I do get caught up in that because on one hand, I love it and I love picking apart things and creating concepts around stuff and the whole visual identity or a brand, whatever my brand is, which is just me, spur of the moment, let's wing this, here goes nothing, that's my brand. And authentically, I feel like that's me. Like, that's me away from music and like everyday life. That's me in the classroom, just like, let's try this. And I feel like but the thing is, I got caught up with it. It's so much of this, I got to be on, I got to be posting, I got to be making these things. And it got to the point where I have just lists and lists of ideas, and it's like you have choice fatigue to where it's like, what do I start on? And you spend more time trying to figure out what you want to do instead of actually doing it. And I was just burnt, because that plus the normal school day of Mr. Winslow versus Winslow, this guy, and trying to blend the two, it just was not working, and something had to go. And me posting and being really active on social media in my own way, not in like a influencer type, look at me, I'm special, but just like, here's another thing I made. Look at it, I got really caught up in that and kind of burnt myself out with all this out. Like, we had the breaking news campaign, then we had BSA radio going on, and I was doing all the editing and making sure everything of that. And I need to like learn to delegate things, because we have so many awesome members of Bat Snares Anonymous. There we go. Check out the shirt if you want one of these. Go to Winslow XYZ at bigcartel.com. Just follow the links in the show notes if you want to cop one of these babies. And when I say one of these babies, make sure you're watching the video version of this so you can see me point out one of these baby. Anyway, it's fresh. Tie-dye. Bat Snares Anonymous. You know what it is. Yeah, I just got so caught up in that I would have physical headaches, and just like physical headaches. What other kind of headaches are there? I would just like have headaches and just kind of anxiety levels up, because of like, I got to do this thing that I'm making myself do that no one else asked me to do. But because of the way I am, I got to do it. And then I'm just like, nope, got to do it cold turkey. Deleted all the social media apps and stuff off my phone. Didn't even log into like the browser. Only kept things logged in on my laptop that I don't do much like work on. Like, I write music here, and my laptop is where I like answer emails and do other stuff, or, kind of script out things, or businessy work. Creative stuff is in here, laptops, everything else. So I kept things signed in so I can occasionally post or answer messages. But there was a while, like a month or two, and still now, to where you wouldn't hear back from me for a while unless you're in the Discord or had my email or number or something. But I needed that break, because just to not be on and my attention span was like gone. I just oh, dead time, phone. Let me look up. Let me post something interesting. Let me post what I'm doing here. It's like I just got caught up in it. And I'm not here to say oh, social media is bad, blah, blah, blah. TikTok's terrible. But anyway, and I say that from someone who sees how it happens to young kids in the classroom, and and then adults as well. Anyway, but it is what it is. I mean, it's not necessarily the platform, it's the people that use it. And I was one of the people who, used it for not to, just got caught up in using it. It was a good idea. My intentions were there, but I got to a point where it's I'm going a little overboard, losing the plot. I need to reassess my intentions and my uses for this. And I feel like after this past month, it's been 2 months almost, I'm better. I'm resetting. I'm back to just kind of posting occasionally, making each post count, just hear the details, blah, 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 occasional stories and things like that. Still reaching out to other people and, in the drum and bass community and wider, just to, be active and not completely disappear as a hermit, because I like that. I love community and being social, but it got to a point where I was kind of I was ignoring all that community part and just kind of, hey, look at me. Look at this new thing I came up with, which isn't bad. But again, I went overboard. Yeah. Have you ever done that? You ever done these things? Anything I'm talking about? Any of this relate to you? Yeah, this, we'll talk about later. Anyway. So again, my why of the social media detox, what basically that I took, or I'm still going through, is to really reassess why I use it and what I wanted to use it for as a creative and as just a person on social media. Because my brand is very much just me, and every man, as Chris Goss would put it, just being myself. But yeah, I was being a little too posty with it, maybe. But it was that, and just getting caught up in maintaining momentum with all the little release campaigns and stuff, and just the symptoms that came with getting too tied up, the anxiety, the headaches, the just brain fog and fatigue of trying to handle that, and then teaching during the day, and that's new because it's my first year, and so many things, to where it came to the peak, the head that popped. I was like, nah, that's kind of why. And it was, for this last month or two, and I wasn't even all that strict, zero social media. I still checked on my laptop occasionally. And, I set out to all right, 15 minutes, check, scroll, do what you got to do, talk to people you got to talk to, come off. And I'd still be back and forth. I need that itch. I need to see what's going on. I hate the fear of missing out, And I didn't really miss out on anything, because the things I needed to know, people still got in touch with me. And as soon as you log back in, it's here's what you missed. And that whole thing. So it was good. It was much needed. And now I feel my head is clear. My conscience is clear. I feel much better having taken a break. I haven't really written anything in a while. I haven't made a whole lot of things in a while. I set out. Again, I have the ideas, and that choice fatigue sets in, but I'm better about picking things. I've been thinking of this, Wins Notes, this relaunching the podcast, because I love conversation. I love these kinds of just, for me, having somebody in my ear talking about something I like to hear or I'm interested in, especially throughout the pandemic, we're all I miss the social aspect of social media, of talking to friends, seeing what they're up to, the comments back and forth, the things I got into, projects that spurred from that. I miss that. But now, since I've reassessed what I've used it for, it's back. I'm back to doing these kind of things and setting up new things and new projects and new creative ideas, creative projects. I'll be in I probably would have never decided, but just taking a break, I was you know what? I should just take a trip to the UK this summer and stay in London for a month and do everything I possibly can do. So I'm like planning that out now. And again, I said last episode, but if we meet, if you want to meet, I'll be in London for basically the whole month of July, from the 6th to August 4th or something like that. And then I have shows lined up and all these other things I'm getting to. And I want to meet like you, whether you're a producer, creative, anything, because I'll bring my camera, my laptop, all this stuff. I'll be writing music, collabs and everything, and then doing a bunch of like, having ideas for like videos and stuff that I can, do in the mecca of drum and bass or whatever you want to call, and the people that surround it. So yeah, July, being UK, please hit me up. And any other time, if you're not going to be, if you see me, if I'm in the city near you, because I'm starting to be like some kind of a jet setter, I'm out every weekend just chilling, going through hotels, taking flights. And anyway, it's kind of like that, but it's kind of not, because I'm still me. Where was I going with this? Anyway, just taking that break just really helped me reset myself and gain my focus back. Now I'm back to write music. Projects are coming up. My next EP, that was done before I even took the Detox deal, but now I have like I'm like reevaluating what I want to do with that and how I want to present it, and coming up with concepts and stuff for that. And then what's after this third EP, it's probably talking about albums. And I'm definitely in a headspace for an album right now. I've kind of been working towards that. I've really been like, my sound has been really, coming together, and I'm really starting to nail, like, my technical ability is starting to meet up with my tastes, that thing. And I feel like I'm on the way to creating something I'm gonna be really proud of. I'm not working on the album. This is not like an unofficial announcement that I am, but the wheels have been turning, for an album. So we'll see. Trust me, you'll know when I know. I'll make a big stupid thing about it. Probably some video with a bunch of clips and the cat, and then, Winslow's making an album. In a world where Winslow's making an album, one man, lots of collaborators, enough tea and coffee to make up for I don't know. It's on the way though. Album's on the way. Conceptually, it's on the way. I haven't really started on it. I just want to put that forth. Don't hit me up about, how's your album going along? Because it's not yet. You'll know when you know. But seriously, like, I got so caught up in just looking at stuff on my phone and the internet. And even if it could even be like educational resources, like I like looking up stuff about like podcasting, of course, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like to know the ins and outs behind things that work because I'm working on my own. I like to read about other people's stories and their processes, like, they did this when they were working on their videos or their podcast or their music. How can I apply that to mine? And it was just like information stimulation overload. Even if it was stuff that was good and wasn't like cat videos and reels and stuff, it's still just like I was gone. I couldn't think straight. And it just really affected me like on a physical level. So I had to take a break. And again, social media isn't bad, and Instagram's not bad, and TikTok's still terrible, and all these things, but it was just the way I was using it. The platform isn't necessarily the issue. It's the user's habits. And the way a platform normally goes is, it's predicated off the habits of the users. Like Instagram started off as photography, and now it's like TikTok adjacent, and with a little bit of photography. And anyway, that's not even really all that important. The point is, think about where you are and like your relationship as a creative to social media and things like that, promotional marketing. It doesn't even have to be Facebook. It's just like the other side of the creation stick. Let's call it that. So you have the creation stick, right? And sticks have at least two sides, unless it's a round stick. And it's a circular, because you see where I'm going with this? Anyway, on one side, you have the thing you create, right? The other side, you have everything else goes with that thing you create. the idea behind it, the promotion, the marketing, the blah 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 content, for lack of a better word, to promo that thing. And it can be as much or as little as you want. And I dipped off into the way too much area, like fell off the board, lost the plot, all these other Bob's your uncle. I just like saying those kind of sayings. But yeah, you kind of have to manage both. Like normally the creative side is like once you're in the mix, you've been doing it for a while, you know, that's handled. Like I don't have to think about making a track anymore. I just kind of do because that's what I do and I feel inspired to do it. And I know my process is to make it happen. And then everything else on the outside, the business, the promotion, the packaging, the presentation, that can be anything. And the fact that it can be anything is, you know, kind of overwhelming unless you really have like a set plan or focus. And that's kind of what's cool about being hospital is that like they present to me all these ideas and things that they've already done and they can basically take care of with little or a lot of input by me. So it kind of offloads that so I can focus on music. But me being me, I still want to focus on all that stuff and I can get carried away because my imagination, my ideas, I'm really quick. I just am, and that's not a brag. It's just kind of where I am. Like nothing's off limits or nothing's impossible. It's just how can I execute it correctly? And I get caught up in that. I wasn't always like this. It took me a lot to learn to kind of just be open to the ideas of the possibility of things, you know? And again, I could scrap all this stuff, this adjacent stuff on this side of the stick, if we're still using that stupid analogy, and just focus on the other side, which is my creative output. But that kind of bores me because I get burnt out on making stuff sometimes. Like if I'm just making track after track after track, I got to take a break eventually from even that. And I don't even come in here. I might just like twiddle some knobs or whatever and like try and make a drum break. And then I'm like, I'm bored. I already made 6 tracks. I don't need to really be in here right now. Let me focus on the other side of things. Which is what's cool about hospital and releases and stuff. Like once I make music and they're packaging it up and I have like a couple months downtime to conceptualize things and just take a break, that's where like these kind of creative outlets come from. Because I am just like, I feel like I am a naturally open and creative person. I just have to focus on the things I want to do instead of let them overwhelm me. Does it sound familiar? Do you ever come across things like this? Let's let that be the question of this podcast, of this episode is like, how does this feel to you? Like, do you go through these same things or like as a creative, or maybe you're not a creative bone in your body. Can't even draw a stick figure, you know, but you feel something that you relate to this story. Have you gone through this? So the actual question I want to ask is, have you tried a social media detox? And if so, what happened? Or are you considering one, but you know, haven't bit the bullet, so to speak, and you're going to try it? Like, what's been your experience? Because I really love to, you know, have a conversation on that. And, you know, that's really important to me because it's about the back and forth. I'm only one person with one set of experiences, and I would love to hear about yours. So on certain apps, Spotify has a Q&A thing on it, on the app, if you want to enter your response there. Patreon, if you're on there, you can leave comments. Social media, leave comments under the post, or, you know, YouTube comments. I really would like to know. And with these questions, like I'm doing with the previous episode and future episodes, there will be a follow-up subscriber/Patreon exclusive episode in which we deep dive and continue this conversation with the questions that you leave. Maybe, and if any of you are free and you ask a question, maybe come on as a guest, link up over Discord or Zoom, and just continue the conversation. So question was, have you ever tried a social media detox, and how did it go? Or if you're considering one, what would it take for you to do it? What are you looking for as an outcome to just taking a break and kind of clearing your head? Yeah, super interested in what you guys come up with. But yeah, that's about it, honestly, for this episode. I could keep rambling on, but I feel like I've said what I've had to say, and I've presented this topic in a way that I know how, which is rambling all over the place. You remember that stick analogy from about 10 minutes ago? I came up with that on the fly. It wasn't even in the script, but I feel like it's very illustrative of the... No, it's not. It's stupid. Anyway, thank you for watching or listening. Remember, you can watch this back on YouTube to see all the little nuances of my faces and my tics, my facial... You know what I mean? I'm not a good poker player. I'm very just like... If I got something, you're going to know it. Unless I'm tired, then you'll never know anything. Or unless you're my girlfriend. You know that I don't emote very much. And I'm just always like... that. Again, you missed out on a good gag if you're not watching this on YouTube. But I get it. You turn me on, stick me in your ear, and then finish the sentence. Oh, that sounds kind of odd. You know what I mean. You flip this on YouTube, switch tabs, do whatever else you were doing. But if you listen for this long, I appreciate it. Always love the support. And I hope you have a good day, because it's about us. Episode 11 of Wins Notes. Make sure you follow, subscribe, all those good things. Links in the description. Shout out Skygram for the new version of Tea Time. And I will see you in the next one. Later.